Welcome back. In the last video, we discussed the available storage options for EC2 instances. The next step to launching our instance is to create a security group. In this video, we're going to show you how to create a security group, add rules, and complete the launch of our instance. Okay, so now we've reached step 6 of launching our instance, configuring the security group. Security groups allow us to protect our instance with firewall rules. We can allow traffic into our instance by protocol and source. Note that we have to have a security group associated with our instance. A security group could be associated with more than one instance. So for example, we can create a single security group for all of our web server instances if we would like. All traffic is implicitly denied by default. So if you don't specify a rule for a particular protocol, then that traffic is going to be blocked. On this screen, we are adding rules for the inbound traffic. We don't need to worry about outbound because security groups are stateful, which means that responses to requests will always be allowed. You can edit your security groups later and specify outbound rules as well if you like. However, you usually don't need to do this because there is already a default rule to allow all traffic outbound. Another thing I should mention is that when you modify your security group rules, the changes take place instantly. There are two options on this screen, either to create a new security group, which already has a default rule for SSH traffic, or select an existing group that we created previously. Well, let's go and create a new security group. Let's start by giving our security group a name. So let's call it Web Server SG and put a description SG for web. In order to SSH into our instance, we have to have the SSH protocol allowed. So there's already a rule in place for that. Now, the source here, though, is listed as anywhere, or it could be custom or my IP. You should lock this down. By saying anywhere, it puts an IP address range of 0.0.0.0/0, which means the entire internet. Since that's not very secure, there's a warning right at the bottom of the page that says rules with source of 0.0.0.0 allow all IP addresses to access your instance. So really instead you should put something like your IP, or if you know the range of the office where you work, you can put that in. So that locks it down a lot better. Now, since this is going to be for a web server, we need to allow HTTP traffic. So you select here the type of traffic you want to allow, and you can select HTTP. That will fill in port 80. This we want to allow from anywhere on the internet. And let's do the same thing for HTTPS. While I'm doing this, notice all the protocols that are there by default. Plus you could specify your own custom TCP rules, UDP and ICMP rules, and specify the port numbers that you want to allow. Okay, so now we've got SSH from my IP, HTTP and HTTPS from the internet. That should do it. So let's click Review and Launch. This page allows us to review the settings for our instance. So you can see the AMI we chose, the instance type, the security group, and the storage and tags are all here. If you're happy with what we got, then click the Launch button. Now you should see a pop-up asking us to choose a key pair. Key pairs are credentials that allow us to log in to our instance. We don't have any created, so we're going to have to create a new one. So choose Create a New Key Pair, give it a name, Web Server Key Pair, and then click Download Key Pair. This will save a file to our Downloads folder on our desktop. To complete the launch of our instance, just click Launch Instances. Click on the View Instances button down at the bottom, and you'll be able to see the instance being created. Notice the instance state says Pending. After about a minute, this will switch to running. In the next section, we're going to learn more about the key pairs and logging in to this instance. In this section, we demonstrated how to launch an EC2 instance. And during that process, we learned about AMIs, instance types, storage options, and security groups. In this next section, we will learn about logging into EC2 instances and the difference between Linux instances and Windows.